Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to disassemble and reassemble your Benchmade 585 Mini Barrage. This works with pretty much any axis lock. The only reasons you'd really have to disassemble it is to fix a broken part or to oil it, or if you adjust the pivot and your main spring gets out of whack and the knife doesn't close properly and it doesn't lock. That is probably one of the most common reasons why you'd want to open up your knife. So before I get into it, by opening your Benchmade avoids the warranty on it, so just be aware of that. The tools you're going to need are a T9 bit for Torx and a T6 Torx. And you're going to need pliers and you're going to need oil. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the pocket clip. There's 3 T6 Torx on the pocket clip, so I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so now that the pocket clip is off, you're going to want to take off the handle grips. There are 4 screws on each side, and then on this side these are also T6, so go ahead and take those off. Alright, I have now taken off both of the handle scales. Now you should be left with just your bare knife, the internals, and you're going to want to take the axis lock and move it into this position and remove the omega pins. They pop out of their hole, and then you're just going to want to fish this through. Alright, now once that's done, go ahead and put that off to the side. This is the omega spring and axis lock bar. And next you're going to want to remove the pivot, which is a T9. Alright. Then after that, you're going to want to take out the pivot. You can just push this out with your bit. There we go. Next, you're going to want to take out this little pin right here. Put that off to the side. And you're going to want to take out the 2 T6 screws that hold in the backspacer. I should mention that all of the screws on this knife are interchangeable except for the 2 that hold on the backspacer. So now your knife should come together, and my knife does not have a safety on it. I took it off because it was bent and it was interfering with the axis lock. So if you do have the safety, all you have to do is just take out the button and the bar, and then when you're reassembling it, just put it back in. It's not that difficult. Okay, so we have the backspacer. Next, you're going to want to take out the thumb studs off the blade of the knife. And this is a washer. There are 2 washers, one on the blade and then one right here with the main spring. So I'm just going to move all this stuff up. Alright. It's important to stay organized with all your stuff. So to get off the thumb studs, you're going to need a pair of pliers, and just grab onto one of the thumb studs, and you're going to need a T6, and it should just screw off. Now be careful here, you don't want your knife to fall and cut you. Alright, now we have the knife almost fully disassembled. This fell out. This was the stop pin that goes here. It stops the blade from opening too far back, and it consists of 2 components. there's the outside sleeve, and then there's the inner area where the screws screw in, and that they just go together. So now we have the knife fully disassembled, except for this spring, which is what causes your knife to not lock and open properly when you adjust the pivot. What happens is the knife blade has a little slot here for the spring, for this part of the spring, and when you adjust it, it pops out of it, and then it just does not work properly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to oil all the parts. I just use mineral oil that you can get from any pharmacy, maybe the dollar store. So you're just going to take a Q-tip or whatever. You can use grease. You're just going to grease up or oil up all of the moving parts of the knife. Make sure you get a lot of it in there. This area too. And if you have any grime on it, you're going to want to clean that off first. Okay, so now we can reassemble the knife. Basically, you're going to want to start by putting in this main spring. You're going to want to put it back into the same position that it came out of. Alright, so that's back in. Then you're going to want to take your pivot. It has a little indent on one of the sides. You're going to want to put that facing left. So just pop that in there. Then you're going to want to take your blade, flip it over so that this side is facing up and this side is facing the spring. You're going to want to put it on and hold the pivot, push it, and then while you're pushing it, just move the blade like this until you feel it go into the indent where the spring is. And you're just going to want to leave your blade like this while you're assembling it, so that the spring doesn't pop back out of place. And then you're going to want to put your washer on and your back spacer. Back spacer has these two little nubs sticking off of it, and you're just going to want to put it into that hole right there. And then you're going to want to take this and just put it on. Make sure that this flat part aligns with the flat part on the pivot. Alright. Then you're going to want to take your little pin here and stick it into the hole right below where the back spacer goes in. And you're going to want to put the pointy side down so that the flat side is facing you. And while you're doing all this, you should be holding the blade with moderate pressure so that it doesn't come out. Then you're going to want to take your pivot pin, your pivot screw, and just screw it in. For this you need the T9. And you're going to want to tighten it, just tight enough to hold it, but not so tight that you can't even move the blade anymore. And then you're going to want to put in the stop pin. To do this, you have to take it out of the sleeve. Put the sleeve in. You might have to loosen your pivot if you made it too tight to get it to go in there. So then your pivot, your sleeve should be in this hole. And then you take the part that goes inside the sleeve, and it can only go in one way. so the flat side faces the flat side. This part can be a little bit tricky to get it into the right position. Alright, there we go. Then you're going to want to take you can let go of the blade at this point, and if you can see this black piece sticking here, if it has like a gap in between that and this metal thing right here, then you might want to go back and retry this. So you're going to want to put your omega springs facing the little holes. You want to push it through here. Alright, and then you want to put the omega springs back in their hole. Also, don't forget to put in the safety if you have it. Then you can just slide this back up. You can put in the thumb studs. And then just tighten them. Alright. Now you might want to put like a piece of tape or something on your pliers so that you don't scratch up the black part. And then we gotta put on the backspacer screws. The screws go in this hole here and this hole. They're both T6. And if they don't go in right away, you might have to push the backspacer into its position. If you have Loctite, I was saying that if you have Loctite, you should probably put it on the screws if you don't plan on taking your knife apart in a while. And then all you have to do at this point is tighten or loosen your pivot screw to your desired tightness. Just a reminder that if you go too loose, the main spring will pop out and you'll have to redo this process all again. So I wouldn't get too risky with it. But all you have to do now is just put on your handle scales and your pocket clip, and then you're good to go. So I have the knife back together now, and as you can see, it functions perfectly. Very smooth. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them. And have a good day.